Okay. Now we are going into the session with the panel discussion, and Mr. Victor, sir, I am sorry, but you are the first panelist, so I'm going to request you to come back. A big round of applause to the rector. I'm also going to take this opportunity to invite Dr. Halima Wakali Akbaru, the Director of Institutional Planning. Permit me also to invite Mr. Sewangambo Hamza, the University Secretary, to join us in this panel discussion. Also, allow me to invite Professor Irat Sulaiman, the Head of Department of Educational Psychology. You know, marital issues sometimes are psychology related, so we discovered that as a counselor, we need Professor Irat's knowledge and expertise in this discussion. Then lastly, I want to invite Imam Bashir, the Imam of the Quran Memorization Center, Islamic University in Uganda. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much once again. Our theme today is rebuilding strong families, addressing the challenges of marital discord and family breakdown among Muslim communities. My first question to the panelists: when you saw this theme, what came to your mind? You can start, you have the microphone.
Thank you so much, the moderator, for that insightful question. I think as the theme goes, what really came to my mind is a reflection on the state of our Muslim families in Uganda today. Of course, drawing from what we know in the history, what we have had, and what is actually coming up today. Of course, it is very clear that there are challenges within our families, but of course there are also issues and norms that we have not been able to take up to ensure that these challenges can be addressed. Basically, that is what I believe is an issue that really came up to me.
Okay, let's proceed. Where do you want to start with the lecture?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To me, what came to my mind after seeing this theme, I remember the verse in the Holy Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Ma farratna fil kitabi min shay." There is no issue in the Holy Quran which is not been addressed. Then I started thinking about the verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed concerning the issues of marriage. I tried my best to contemplate on some of them. I'm sure our scholars are going to discuss some of them. But this is what came to my mind to answer this question. Thank you.
When I saw this thing, I was happy because it is something that is needed. The discussion is needed in our community. I'm glad that personally But sadly, recently in our family, there was a situation where one of our granddaughters got married about several months ago, and within 2 months, the marriage had broken. So you have that spectrum. 23 years, still going strong, and then 2 months in the same family. Understand? And this is a microcosm of what's going on in our societies. How do these young people, how do they manage to break a marriage in 2 months? It's not easy. You know, how 2 months is supposed to be part of the honeymoon. I don't know if honeymoon is being like Islam or Islam. So that is the tragedy in our society. And therefore, I want to thank the organizers for bringing this thing so that we can reflect on it. But that's what came up in my mind when I saw this.
Thank you so much.
For me, I'm a counseling psychologist, and I advocate preventive counseling. So when I say this topic, it's like very hard. It's a topic we can't overflow it. The more we talk about it, the more we create knowledge, the more people become informed, the more changes are impacted in our community. In fact, it's like, yes, an opportunity to begin to feel when you look at the statistic of divorce in Uganda is alarming. And the real issue is that as of 2016, we have only 26 cases. Statistic. 26, 2016. That's just about 10 years ago. And behold, by 2014, we have almost 2,900, 2,800 and something, 2,600 and something in 2004. And last year, 2005, it has increased 2,800, up to 2,900. You see? So it's like, what is happening? Why a sudden increase? And that is actually, as scholars and personally as psychologists, and more importantly, being in the forefront of family ties, marriage bond, and premarital counseling. And I think that is where the issue is that we need to emphasize on. So thank you very much for organizing this. It's a right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Last but not least, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, rabbil alamin, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Indeed, when Abdul Samad, I'm sorry, I'm saying Abdul Samad, Dr. Jagena, yes, when he brought up this very, very brilliant thing, the first thing I thought about, wow, subhanallah, I come from a culture that reveres marriage. I also come from a culture where people are very scared for their daughters, especially, and they marry them off at a very young age because of this fear. And also I come from a culture that loves lavish weddings. So I was like, and I have seen across the board the impacts and the effects and
whatever it is that comes along with all that. So I was like, yes, this is quite timely, this is quite relevant, this is quite critical. So thank you for choosing this thing. Thank the committee for allowing the thing to hold so that we can look together. And I'm sure many of you have your own experiences when you first saw this theme. But in general, I think that now there are a lot of bad things happening which we must address if we want to get it right as a Muslim community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before I leave you, now you have mentioned your cultural background, and I'm glad that the rector has been in 23 years and growing stronger. We must add that, don't forget. And our generation, 2 months and growing weaker. So maybe my question would be, what went wrong? What are the silent killers of the family unit, especially among the young generation?
That's quite diverse. It's very broad. But one thing you have not done, moderator, is to tell us how much time we have, because otherwise we could go on.
I will notify you if you over. But you are still within your time. If you have, but we are using between 3 to 5, but none of you has used more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what went wrong? Sometimes when I talk to the young girls or the young ladies in our family, and especially my family, we are a very extended family. We are a family that I have 8 sisters and 2 brothers from the same mother and father. So we are a very extended family, and our mother especially, may Allah be merciful to her, she always made us grow up as a very tightly knit family and value for family and kinship. So I always talk to our young, daughters and so on. And generally speaking, I think that one of the biggest killers is the unpreparedness that our young ladies and gentlemen go into marriage. We as parents, we like to rush them into marriage. And I think it's good when they are of age for them to get married. But the preparedness, the mental, the attitude, the stability, understanding really what marriage, especially in the Islamic context, is. It is generated for them through the social media, the utopia that they see, of what it means, marriage, the over-inflammation, if I may put it that way, of love as a factor, most biggest factor for the young. So when they go in there and it all tumbles down, they are not prepared. And in the end, it is like, I don't care, I'm walking out. Self-sacrifice is not a factor. I could go on, but I'll stop there because I know that some of these things are going to be explored extensively as we discuss in this convention. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Professor Irat.
Thank you so much. Leveraging on what Dr. Alima just said, the only one area I'd like to, she kind of pointed to the fact of rumors. I think the expectation. And of course, that I would say is one of it. And the most important for me as a counselor is the premarital counseling. The premarital counseling. They lack the knowledge. They lack the understanding. They don't understand the rules of that responsibility. You see, many goes in with huge expectations without the responsibility, because that is it in Islam. For every right, there is a responsibility attached to it. Before you claim your right, you must have, put in something. And that is where the major thing is. And I'm going to seize this opportunity. It's like I said, I'm a preventive counselor. I advocate ensuring that the problem doesn't arise. That marriage must not break. And how do we go about that? We give them all the necessary, starting from now. The DAR committee in place. We need to establish that institution of where they get adequate. They get a lot of information on the media, and that builds the thing is about I love you, I love you, I love you, and it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that, and so even the men, they don't. Sorry if you allow me to say that. Recently, I've just had a counseling session with a couple, just like the director said. Few months into the, 6 months into the marriage, they actually got married, and as at that time, the gentleman has not gotten a proper job, but he has something doing, and the lady has a very good job. And of course, she goes into the role of, okay, I have the money, let me take over. So fortunately, a few months into the wedding, the man also got a very fantastic job, better than that of the lady. And so, the lady obviously expected that, yes, you are the one. And the child for Amuna, I'm sorry, my love, is not, I can't start speaking Arabic here. The Kohamuna. You are the protector, you are the provider. So, take over your responsibility. And that is where the challenges begins. They've been eating fish, egg fried with fish, and that is what she has been putting on the table with her salad. Now this is how much it costs. Then it's like, you are wasteful. How can you be spending that much? And I was invited at the verge of they almost killed themselves. It has become, and the poor girl, just out of, you've beaten me black and blue, I must do something for you. She poured hot water on me. You can imagine. So for me, that's what we must live from here. It's not about talking, but we have to walk our talk. When we talk, we don't just leave it here. We begin to implement them. Starting on the member, you need to now start talking about the issues of marriage on the member. We need to start. That's why I said it's not an issue that we are overflowing. It's the more we talk about it, the more we desensitize what is in their cognition, because you already got it in your head. And for you forgetting that what you are seeing on that social media are all pretense. They are all fake. The real thing behind the doors are different from what you are seeing. So please, we need from now to walk our talk.
Thank you so much, Professor.
When I look at this smartphone, it has one eye here. And I understand that Dajjal also has one eye. It's supposed to have one eye. I don't know whether the Dajjal is already here. But there's no question that this smartphone has so many advantages, but also many problems. In fact, we all come from very big extended families. So actually, in another part of my family, the marriage lasted, I think, 4 months. And it's because the lady at night would be on TikTok, and the husband got the smartphone and crashed it on the ground. So, of course, the lady needed counseling, and when is the best time to do your TikTok? But also, the gentleman also needed counseling. You have to smash the phone in order to solve the problem. Because once she smashed the phone, the lady left and the marriage broke after about 4 months. Again, these are young people in their early 20s, so there is no question that I agree with you. The premarital counseling is very key. You said what has happened to the new generation. The marriage in Islamic tradition, and even African tradition, is not between the two of you. I know you young man and you young lady, you think you're all that, you know, but marriage is between families, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Where families, the Wanyakore say, Washwera Buza. You know, if you are going to marry, you need to ask, who am I marrying, where are they coming from, what kind of people are they? And then the negotiations begin, and then you are trying to build those two families together. But nowadays, one of the biggest problems is that the two principal people think that it's all about them. And therefore, they quickly convince themselves and everybody that they are ready when maybe they are not. And then when things work out, they also say, it is me, and therefore breaking the contract. So it becomes simple. Of course, it's not just a Ugandan problem, it's a worldwide problem. I lived in the US for a long time, but the divorce rate there is much, much higher than the marriage rate. And in other societies, no more marriages. And in America, the other problem actually is that the courts favor the women so much during divorce that now the men are scared from getting married. If I marry after 10 years, the lady is going to take the house, take all my money, so why should I get married? So that's now another dynamic there that is causing problems. But there is no question that we have not understood how to deal with the smartphone. So for me, I'm thinking that that's one of the major problems that we need to have.
Thank you so much, Rector.
Thank you. I think I'll give my point from the previous speakers. I strongly believe that we've taken marriage as a pleasure between two people, where if one desires the others and then they rush into marriage is enough. But I'm glad that Zeness, the Mufti, is in this gathering, and I would simply say that marriage must be taken as an act of worship. I remember when I went into the ceremony of marriage, the only speech I had was that you are now one. Okay? So, I didn't know that marriage would mean that if you get the hardship of waking up for prayers in the morning, in a cold morning, it is the same as also having a partner. So the difficulty that we have when we are performing the other acts of worship, we are hungry today, and this morning we have not had food, but we are persevering because the sheikhs have told us that you must fast and you have that in mind. But nobody tells us that when you go into marriage, you're going to find difficulties, you're going to find hardship. They only tell us that you're going to find a good wife that you love so much, a good wife that you provide for, without looking into it as an act of worship. So in the absence of that talk, and that's why Professor Ayla, when she talks about pre-counseling sessions, it becomes critical that even us who are celebrating it, religious leaders at all levels, should be thinking about preaching it the way we preach Salah. That if you don't do Salah, this is what is going to happen. If you go into marriage and you do not do what is expected of you, definitely there will be repercussions in the area hereafter. Of course, the one who is smashing the phone and the one whose phone has been smashed, if they knew the repercussion, probably it would be a different story. So I believe it's very, very important that we should also take marriage not as simple as other ibadah, because ibadahs are not simple things, and people should look at them from that viewpoint. So that's my take.
Thank you so much. Let me get from membership.
Members, Mufti, based on what our elders have said, we can go back to the principle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Holy Quran and one hadith from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We are using a word that we call it a freedom. A freedom. We give a lot of freedom to a husband and a wife. And we're forgetting a verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَانْكِحُوهُنَّ بِإِذْنِ أَهْلِهِنَّ. And the hadith that says, إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ مَنْ تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَخُلُقَهُ. The verse says, you should marry them with the permission of their family. With the permission of their family. Then you connect it with the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad that says, إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ مَنْ تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَخُلُقَهُ. So the process itself, we're having a lot of issues on the process itself. Leaving your daughter to just come up with the one she loves. This is the one you love. You just go ahead without investigating his good character, or without that mutual connection between the two families. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا فَبَعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already knows the way He created us. We have individual differences. This one is short-tempered, this one is very better, and like that. So it is very, very important not to give that freedom to our daughters. Even if this is the person you love, we have to apply that verse. We engage the families to make sure we know the characters of the husband, and also from the side of the husband, not just for him because he's having money to bring a daughter from any background and marry. So that those verses and the hadith also explain what our respected elder says. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I want to, on this one, I really want to begin with the rector, where you mentioned about families getting, basically, I've heard you several times say this is the families that get married, not the individuals. I think that is how we have been saying it. But then, nowadays, one of the silent killers of marriage, again, is the over-intervention of families within matters that could probably be solved by the two people. So, the question, there are two things here. One is, where is the line between honoring the families and their involvement, but at the same time protecting the privacy, the autonomy of a marital home? And then that is one. Then two, I'm doing this because of the interest of time. Professor Ayla mentioned something very important, and I'm glad that these dynamics reflect on this panel, where we have the dynamics are changing. We have educated women because of the changes in the world, women emancipation, affirmative action, and so on and so forth. And you fit in that category very well, and you have been happily married. And we are talking about this lady in your example, who, because she was a breadwinner, she now wanted to become, take all the responsibility, even that belongs to a man. Now, my question to this is, whereas we support girl child education, women emancipation, and all that, how have we prepared now the younger generation to deal with an independent, empowered, educated woman? The young men, the boy child, actually, that's what I'm talking about. Is that question goes to Professor Ira, the rector? So Professor Ira, if you prepare that response.
When we say that marriage is about families, of course, family dynamics are important. I remember that when we got married, the mother-in-law told Wanda, if you have any problem with this man, don't come to me. You go to Ismail's family and tell them no problems you are having with Ismail. So that should be the wisdom. That if she goes and reports me to her family, there's going to be a lot of emotion. How can you treat our daughter like this? So it may create more problems than solving them. But if she comes to my family, they would want to protect me and protect her. So sometimes the problems that you're talking about is where there's no wisdom in the way we use the institution of our families to help us navigate our problems. That is just one example. Secondly, families should also have, we used to have sengas. Now this is the professional senga, who is trained in psychology and counseling. But each family usually had a senga who understood the dynamics of marriage, and not every senga was a senga, the marriage senga. There was a special senga who was trusted to understand relationships between men and women and could easily resolve them. Maybe we need to revisit some of these traditions that we have completely neglected, and now we are depending on Dr. Hugo for everything to solve our problems.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much, my boss, director. Dr. Asamat, I quickly want to add something to what the director says. Please. You see, the dynamics of family, cultural intervention, and all of that is changing because of the world, the evolution of the world. We are no more in a world of a village. It's a global village. Australia used to be very far, it's no more. It's just with a tap of the buttons of you are there. So, he has said, you remember that there are individual differences. There are the Ainen Lama and Ainen Rahma. So all of this coming together is why that structure, the institution, is kind of failing. The outsider, of course, the now contemporary seminars, stands outside. They don't have any stake on the issue. And so they could take this kind of an objective stand. And that is the challenge we have. You remember, there are these people, the highs. They don't actually want their marriage to work. and you are still sending it to them. So it's like, yes, it's an opportunity, and they give wrong, we've seen all of that, so that is there, unfortunately. Now, back to the question you have asked me is the issue of being the modern.
The professor.
We have all of them.
Yes.
That is Dr. Amina Hassan, the HOD and the immediate past dean of Faculty of Education. That is the PRO of the university. That is, and my humble self. I've been married
Magistrate.
more than 3 decades.
We have a magistrate here.
Who? The Majesty, yes. Our Royal Majesty, Our Excellency.
Magistrate.
Oh, I thought she said the magistrate. You see, the one behind you, see, the one sitting directly behind her is the magistrate. And I am a professor. I've been married for more than 3 decades. So, and it wasn't, we carry the roles. You see, my dear girls and boys, it's not just about what, just like the rector has said, that's phone. It's not forget about what is showing on that place. I even know, I see it because I'm at the receiving end. They come to me, so I deal with many on daily basis. Even on campus here, we talk on the road, and we talk about it. It is not what they are showing you that is what's happening behind the doors. And just like the Imam said, we have to go back to the basics. You see, there are 2 things that will make that marriage work. That will make you not put on the toga of, I am a professor. When I live here, I still go into the office, the home office, which is a kitchen. I still go. Unfortunately, I look around here, I don't see if my girls from Nigeria are here. They come for a tour in my house, and they see me making it for them. I do it. So it's not that, and now I'm the professor, so, and no. More so, we are talking of the Muslim. So we are not talking of a just ordinary professor. We are talking of a Muslim child, a Muslim man. And what we do, there is what we call that now in the counseling section, we have integrated spirituality into counseling. And so when you come as a client, we can take you up as before even deciding on your presenting problem. We decide on, do you want spirituality counseling? So that if it needs repair, we call upon the sheikhs. And then it is, the tradition is brought into the counseling room with an objectivity. Where I want to go back to is that you need, no matter what, Islam is a total submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you say, apologies to the sheikhs here, permit me because it's always on my mouth. When you say, kullu ina salati, wa nuski, wa mayaya wa mamati, lillahi rabbil alamin. It is total, lillahi rabbil alamin. It is everything that you are doing. So irrespective of the toga you are putting on, you still have to do your responsibility as a wife. And what we sustain that are 2 major things. Taqwa wa istiqamah. Taqwa wa istiqamah. You have to have, you believe that, yes, I have my responsibility to Allah. I am going to reckon it. So, I think it's the Sheikh that said it also. You are going to give account on the husband, the children, just like Honorable Boss is going to account for all of us. It is a big, huge amount. So, as a wife in that house, you have your role to play. And the istiqamah is your steadfastness. You have to. Am I playing my role as required by me, by Almighty Allah? What I am going to do for you in the pre-military, informed person who is prepared to make informed decision within your human, because it's an amendment for you. You are entering into a marriage is also something you will account for. And remember, you are said you are Muslim. You have to submit slowly to the will of Allah, and that is by forgetting about your children. You still are a wife, and you have to do your duty. And the same thing for the men. You think you have married that in an entity, even if you are a professor. What do you mean? And that is it. You are going to account for her, and she's going to account for you. And as long as we hold on to that, this people, it's not going to come out. It's not, for me, I strongly always believe that it's not something we Muslims should talk about, because we have a perfect system. Our religion taught us everything. Even when you are going into the toilet, you are taught what to say. Now, is that not takbir?
Okay. Time is not our best ally, so because of this, I'm going to address from that side. Final question within 2 minutes, because again, Professor Iwat, you said that this is a topic that we cannot fully exhaust. It is a continuing discussion that we will always have every now and again. So finally, Dr. Halima, what's next is the last question.
Actually, thank you very much. I really appreciate the views that and they are very factual, they are very realistic, and that's really what happens in the institution of marriage, as stated there. And I want to go back because when I started talking, I said, in my view, one of the biggest issues is unpreparedness for the institution of marriage. Its rights, the roles, and the responsibilities. And we need to go back to the basics. We need to go back to the Quranic teachings and the prophetic traditions, because it gives us the answers. It will tame our egos when we realize that, yes, the person that I'm also dealing with in my marriage is human. I'm also human. We are not perfect. Where did we go wrong? Can we now go back and correct that? So for me, I think what has been already suggested on the floor, the pre-marital counseling is very important. Your Eminence, I'm really privileged and honored to be here talking and for you to be here. By the way, I would really want to put this on the table. His Eminence is not only a staff, or was not only a staff of IUIU, but he's a great alumni or alumnus of IUIU also, because he also did some of his training here. I was privileged that he was my teacher, but I was also honored that he was also my student. So I really happy and really glad. So we need, for example, some of those things, Your Eminence, that the Muslim Supreme Council can work, inshallah, maybe together with IUIU. We design programs. Doesn't matter, they don't have to be highly academic. Short programs that people who are going to get married or marry can go through, so that some of these basics are done. And the way I see it, or I envisage it, the people designing the program should not make it highly academic, They should make it practical. They should have skills, hands-on, basic examples and things like that. Because what we are looking for maybe in the beginning is really that. And also the mentorship then can be given. Because once you have that in place, then we have people who are training the young ones. They can now act as mentors. I want to reiterate also what Professor has said. One time I invited some students. I was still the director of the females campus. So they came at home. And at that time I was sweeping the house. I had my broom, I was sweeping the house. And one of the girls was like, director, you're also sweeping? So that misconception that is there. So that preparedness to say, yes, you are a professor, doesn't stop you from attaining an education. By the way, some of you young men and older ones also, you are beginning to think that you should opt for uneducated women. I can assure you that's not the solution. There is no guarantee of the mix that you're talking about. Some people think professional plus professional will bring the best results. Some people think that if I get the one from the village and I'm the one educated, that will work. I can tell you that's not the formula. Because we have seen even professional and professional marriage fails. We have seen where there is professional and not professional, and it works out. I've been married for over 30 years now. And my husband is not a professional as such. But I appreciate him in my life. Because there are some things I have seen some of you professional men. You do, and I'm like, wow, you share. But alhamdulillah, we are all human. We have our own flaws. But the point is, it is only the understanding of what the marriage is really about. Because at one time, if it is not about mass rahma, and you think you're focusing only on one, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm not saying it's not there, but where is the rahma? Compassion for your partner. Compassion and mercy. And flipping it, if I was the one and he was treating me like this, or I'm treating her like this, is it just? Those are the basics we are talking about. And that is the preparedness. وهذا السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Prof, what next? Concluding remarks, 2 minutes.
Once again, I need to just re-emphasize. The major issue is having the knowledge, getting adequate, right information, not the wrong ones on the internet. Those ones are made to show off, please. The right information that will enable you make wise, informed decision. That's what we need. And again, I need to emphasize, you need your taqwa. You need your steadfastness. You need that. And of course, premarital counseling is sacrosanct. That is where this will be given. Permit me to say I've been privileged to be part of this where I come from in my university. I think I was the Amira of the Muslim community for about 2 decades, that's over 20 years. I was the one who said I beg to step down because I'm always in the forefront of saying, these girls, this marriage was not great, let's work on it. And so they'll call me, Amira, your God, Amira, your. And I've been privileged to work with the Imam Council. There were times the organizations that would train the imams. So that please, we want you also. So we have manuals. Dr. Alima said, it's not if you go psychological, yes, of course we're going to teach skills of empathy, which is what he said. Empathy is quite different from sympathy. It's not to say, oh, my husband, sorry. It's going to go beyond the sorry to feel it, the feeling. And that's what she has said. Those social, personal skills are what we give you. In the council, you are equipped with helping you to identify your religious practices as well as the mundane. Because the Quran is not going to tell you, just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I'm not going to come down to us to change the condition of anybody. So it means you still need to think. You still need, and that this is where counseling is going to. This is your religious duties. This is how you can manage it and you move on. So we have the manuals, we have everything. I have it, and I've used it in my counseling class for who cares. But the issue is that we need to walk our talk. We don't want to end it here, we want it to start after here. We begin from the members, from the organizations, from our outreach here in IUIU, and then these people are well informed outside what they are getting from the social media. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor.
It's really nothing to add much, but I think this start from the suggestions that the two have talked about, having the premarital counseling program at IUIU. So let's work on that, inshallah. It is forward-looking to be dealing with all kinds of issues that we talked about, but also to be a wonderful extra service that we give to our youth preparing for the great institutional management, which is key in Islam. I think marriage is half of it, so it is important to also concentrate on it. And also as parents, we need to also have sincere conversations with our children about the importance of marriage, especially the men, the boys. What is your role as a husband? But also the girls, teaching them about patience, teaching them about understanding that you are not perfect, both of you, and therefore you need to think of each other's interests as well. I think that we are on the way in setting that, trying to change the situation and also solving the acute problems that we have in our community.
Thank you so much, Director.
Thank you so much. I associate myself with the recommendation, but my only addition is that each one of us belongs to a mosque. Each one of us belongs to a mosque, and we should take it as our initial unit, where we should not only involve them when someone has died, when we are asking for a certificate of marriage, when we are doing nikah, but they should also be part and parcel of this process that we are talking about, so that really our couples should have what it takes to know that they are doing ibadah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, before I present my last opinion, I observed something here very important. This issue we're talking directly to the youth. But I'm seeing our mothers, they are the one writing something. And our youth, They were just looking at us like this. So, I want you to take this as a principle from the Holy Quran. You know, we have to know the objective of marriage. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala arranged the objectives in one verse. He says, one of his signs that he created for you, wives from you, so that you may have tranquility, that is one, then love, then the last one, rahmah. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala arranged it like this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says tranquility. Of course, the first place to have peace of mind is in your own house, in your own home. That is the first objective. Then the second one, the love. Then the last one, when you grow, you reach up to 50 years. It's not good for you to abandon the first wife and start looking at another one. And even you, as a wife, it's not good for you. That is why Allah brought that rahmah. Then the last principle that I want you guys to, my brothers and sisters, the young generation, this principle is a general. It's not only about the marriage. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا قَبْلَكَ مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ إِلَّا إِنَّهُمْ لَيَأْكُلُونَ الطَّعَامَ وَيَمْشُونَ فِي الْأَسْوَاقِ وَجَعَلْنَا بَعْضَكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ فِتْنَةً. Then he asked, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created between the husband and the husband a fitna. Then he asked, are you going to be patient? Between a boss and his people, a fitna, are you going to be patient? So my mates here, we need to take this principle from the Holy Quran and we apply it in each and every issue of our life. Of course, between the husband and the wife, whenever something happens, remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks you, are you going to be patient? So it is just like an exam between the husband and the wife, the children and the father, the mother and the children. So I want us to take this as my last message. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, before I release the panel, through you, Chief Guest, Your Eminence, out of the three panelists, we have two distinguished mothers and professionals, like Dr. Halima has said. But out of all the panelists, one had a side B, and the side B is in the audience. So I want to give 3 minutes, if you permit, to Dr. Walda Rajab to say what, because the doctor said it is 23 years and growing stronger. We want to find out if it is true. Dr. Walda, you have 3 minutes.
Subhanallah, when you start or sit, then how to say? Thank you, Dr. Jagenda. Thank the panelists, your eminence, with this quick ambush. Actually, when I was paying attention, there's something that kept coming out subtly. It did not come out strongly as I expected, and that is the focus on the girl, as opposed to the focus on the boy. You are the husbands. You are the